Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human nature stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today's Monday and it's April the 13th, 2026. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find the information here to be informative. And if you're a returning viewer, by all means, thank you for coming back. You know, I always say the tide changes so frequently here on these YouTube streets that you always have to acknowledge where your support comes from. And I want you to know I sincerely thank you for your support. So feel free to like and to share this video. And don't forget to subscribe. And our story today is coming out of Camp Lejeune here in North Carolina. Take a look at the headline. And it reads, North Carolina Marine killed in off-course incident. Suspect is in custody. I'll provide you with a summary here, and I'll identify some of my sources for you in the description box. It was the morning of April the 6th, 2026, and it all started with a Facebook post from the Wilmington, North Carolina Police Department. According to the information provided, they reported that several street fights had taken place in the 100 blocks of Front Street in downtown Wilmington the previous morning, which was the 5th of April. In one of those incidents, two people were stabbed, resulting in one fatality and one individual who sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the deceased was a 21-year-old man. They identified him as Daniel Montano. He had been stabbed in the neck, was taken to a nearby hospital where unfortunately he died the following day. Police have been asking for assistance from the public, requesting that anyone who was in the area around the time of the incident to contact the Wilmington, North Carolina Police Department. Now, we later learned that the deceased was actually an active duty Marine Corps Lance Corporal assigned to Camp Lejeune Marine Corps Base. So let's address him correctly. Lance Corporal Daniel Montano, a native of High Desert, California, and assigned to the 1st Battalion, 2nd Marine Regiment at Camp Lejeune as an inventory management specialist. Now, there's a 41-second video that has been circulating on social media, and it suggests that the police may not have acted in a manner that showed care and concern for the victim who had been seriously injured. And in response to that, the chief of police did come out and address concerns during a public interview. And this is what has been described about that video. It's reported that in the video, you see police arrived at the scene and began pepper spraying the crowd in the streets. Reports say Montano could be seen standing, bending over, and bleeding profusely on the sidewalk. A female voice could be heard out of the cry. She was crying out outside of the view of the camera. A male bystander helped Montano back up against a fence before he collapsed. The bystander then removed his shirt and tended to the victim. Two officers eventually approached the bystander before the video ended. Now, the chief in his news conference suggested that the video does not present the whole story, and he wanted the public to know that his officers acted appropriately at the scene of that incident. There may have been a brief delay because officers had been overcome with pepper spray, but the chief insists an ambulance had been called, and in view of a chaotic situation, he believed his officers acted in a manner that was appropriate. He also made the public aware that the second stabbing victim ran away from the scene, but police caught up with him, grabbed him, applied a tourniquet to his wound, which helped to save his life. Now, police also released this picture of a black male wearing a pink shirt and a light blue jeans who was described as a person of interest. It's important to know that Wilmington police did not say this man was a suspect. They described him as a person of interest, but unfortunately, individuals made the irresponsible decision to say that he was a suspect, and that scenario played out over several days. Now, even after the suspect had been caught and police shared that information with the public, there's some who continue to identify the suspect by name but associated with the picture of the person of interest. These were two different people, and nobody deserves this, folks. We must do better. So here is the current suspect. As I already mentioned, he's now in police custody. He was identified as 47-year-old Davy Spencer, someone with a lengthy criminal record. He had been arrested before in Hanover County on drug charges and had been sentenced as a habitual offender in 2015, and he was released in 2021. Now, it appears he has a long history of violating the law, and the pictures here, you can tell that one is an older picture or a younger version of the suspect. The one with the injured eye appears to be the most current version. Now, he has been charged with second-degree murder and assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill. His first court appearance is scheduled for later today, April the 13th. So the evening of April the 13th, I began searching online just to find out exactly what happened for that first court appearance for the suspect. And I realized sources were saying that the suspect was a no-show. It was then revealed the reason he was a no-show because he was in the hospital. Apparently, he had sustained a foot injury during that street altercation, and he was being treated for that injury at the local healthcare facility. And as I read one of the updated sources on this story, I learned that Spencer was never booked on this murder charge. It appears he was never actually charged. It appears he went from being arrested straight to the hospital to be treated, and that's where he remains at this time. The source also stated that he has been assigned a public defender attorney and that he will make his first court appearance whenever he's released from the hospital. Now, I saw several questions being asked in response to published articles on the story, and some are valid depending on your point of view, I guess. One reader wanted to know what the Marine was doing on the streets of Wilmington, North Carolina, some 47 miles from Camp Lejeune. Well, here's my response. He's free to move around as he wishes, and it's not uncommon for young people, in this case service members, to travel with groups of friends and enjoy a night out on the streets of North Carolina. That's not unlawful. But I think a more appropriate set of questions would be, why was this Marine and a fellow accomplice involved in a street brawl, a street fight on the streets of Wilmington at 1 o'clock in the morning? Who was the other victim? Was he also a service member? What precipitated this altercation and whether alcohol was involved? I think those are more appropriate questions. And I'm sure police has more information that has not been shared with the public, but it makes you wonder whether additional charges would be forthcoming. And as you already know, whenever a service member is involved, I normally travel to the service member's hometown, travel virtually, of course, and just to see how the story is being covered and what folks are saying and whether there's new information to share with my audience here in North Carolina. And I saw this headline from Fox 11 Los Angeles. U.S. Marine from Southern California killed in North Carolina stabbing. It basically covered the same information from the North Carolina news sources. With one addition, they mentioned that a GoFundMe had been set up to help with the funeral expenses. You know, I don't do GoFundMe at all on my page, but I'm just wondering why there's a need for GoFundMe to help with funeral expenses when he's an active duty service member. Maybe it's something else that we don't know, but nonetheless, this was one of the sources that I found. And another news source says Sultana High School graduate and U.S. Marine Daniel Montano killed in North Carolina stabbing. And the new additional information here was that he was a 2023 graduate of Sultana High School. And back here in North Carolina, this is a picture of a memorial that was set up at the site where Lance Corporal Montano lost his life. I never tried to take credit from anybody's work. It was posted on Instagram. I'm not really sure of the author, but nonetheless, it's a memorial and tribute to the fallen Marine. And this is a nighttime view of the same memorial, but I believe this was posted onto Facebook by another, I'm sure, someone familiar with the deceased service member. And at the time that I'm posting this video on April the 15th, I could not find any funeral plans that are currently available. I did search locations in California and nothing has come up. So it's possible those plans are still being finalized. But we do want to send our condolences to the family and friends of Lance Corporal Montano, not just the ones in California, but also his military family right here at Camp Lejeune. No loss is ever easy, and it's even worse when it happens as suddenly as this, and it's in a manner that is marked by violence. We hope you know that others are praying for you and thinking about you during these very difficult times. And so, another brave warrior has completed his journey, and despite the unanswered questions and those things we struggle to understand, we simply must accept the fact that this was all part of his destiny. So, Lance Corporal Daniel Montano, your mission is finally completed. So rest well, my friend, and thank you for your service. And that's all I have for you right now, but feel free to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about this video. And by all means, feel free to like it and to share it. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button. It's on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And if you click on the bell that looks like just like this one, that's the notification bell. If you click on that notification bell, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.